Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. Today's battle is from the ongoing tournament over at Clan Community, where Daman's Empire takes on FoolishMan's Beastmen. Make sure you check out the link to Clan Community in the description below if you're interested in a great Total War community that constantly has amazing competitive play. A general of the Empire leads his army from up in the air with Blood Roar, Foe Seeker, and a Potion of Toughness. His Light Wizard comes in on foot with the Net of a Mintok, a Scroll of Power, and Arcane Conduit. The army is relatively standard affair, with 4 units of Flagellants and the Tattersouls forming the bulk of the army, with an unbreakable will to fight. The Great Swords add a bit of armor-piercing damage into the mix, while the 3 units of Free Company Militia will do well against unarmored enemy units and can survive in melee while waiting for support to arrive. The Reiksguard will perform well against enemy infantry and range support, while the Demigryph Knights with Halberds and the Royal Altdorf Griffites will look to crush enemy cavalry and then disrupt enemy lines after, though they'll have to be careful of Gorbel. The Beastmen are led by Morgur the Shadowgave, coming in with nothing but the Stave of Ruinous Corruption. Both Gorbel come in with Bloodgreed, while one also brings Slaughterer's Call to the field. 2 units of Ungor Spearmen Herd and 2 units of Ungor Spearmen Herd with shields will hope to pin enemy cavalry in place and potentially cause morale damage with flanking maneuvers, or hold the enemy in place for friendly cavalry to come hammering in. 4 units of Goreherd with shield will be relatively protected from missile fire during their approach and stand a better chance of holding in melee, while the 4 units of Bestigor Herd will have to do most of the heavy lifting, especially if the Empire brings in an armored force, rather than a string of unarmored units. Finally, the 2 Chaos Warhounds with Poison can shut down enemy range support and can also provide support to the frontline engagements with flanking maneuvers and poison damage. Alright, we're going to start with the conversation about deployment, and it is not extremely complicated from either side of the field here, although they have deployed opposite each other, so there is a little bit of a march to complete with this giant gaping hole in the center as well, protecting this right flank. But before we talk about that, let's take a look at the Empire. Up front, we do have the Great Swords on one flank with the Spearmen on the other, and the center is comprised of the Flagellants as well as the Tattersouls, while another unit of the Flagellants do cover the rears of these Spearmen. So I'm guessing the prediction was that there would be some cavalry coming in potentially from this side, so the spears are there to respond. And if there's any cavalry coming in from this side, we do have all the way to the side here, this unit of Spearmen and Flagellants backing them as well, to try and potentially intercept those guys if they come in from that left flank. Meanwhile, of course, these guys working together as well to protect the right flank, as I mentioned earlier, while the 3 units of Free Company Militia clump together a little bit, able to open shots off on anything and provide some range support to this general area. Again, if anything large is coming their way, if a Gorbel is getting a little adventurous, so it is a little risky to keep them so close to the front line because a Gorbel can come crashing through, but they are going to hope to shut that down, while the Light Wizard right behind them, of course, with the Net of a Mintok, can try and hold those guys in place so that these guys can have a great time with their firing line. All the way at the back, meanwhile, we do have the Reiksguard over here, while the Royal Altdorf Griffites are covering this side, again, working with the Spearmen, anti-large as a nice contingent over here, both large units and infantry, while over here on the left, we do have the Demigryph Knights with Halberds, again, working with these Spearmen together to form a nice anti-large contingent. Meanwhile, the General of the Empire is floating there in the middle, able to provide support wherever necessary. Now, let's take a look, if we can get away from all these rocks, at the Beastmen. Now, once again, as I mentioned, their deployment is great because they are covering one flank of theirs from the get-go. Of course, something can come in from the rear here, but that's why we've got 2 Ungor Spearmen Herd covering the rear approach over here, alongside this unit of Chaos Warhounds with Poison. So these guys together can block this entry point. This entry point is obviously completely blocked off by a natural construct there, while this entry point as well, not really possible to get in here. So very well protected, but if something does come in from the rears here, we do have 2 Ungor Spearmen over here as well as the Chaos Warhounds with Poison. So again, able to close down any approaches from the rear lines. Meanwhile, the main line itself, the front, consists of these Goreherd with shield. Again, they're to absorb initial shots, initial damage, and be relatively safe from it with their shields, while right behind them we do have the Bestigor Herd, who will hope to pile in right after engagements begin, potentially coming from the sides if possible, if the terrain allows for it. And these guys, of course, are going to be bringing in the pain. They are severely, or rather heavily armored, so they're hoping to get most of the work done. While all the way at the back, we do have the Gorbel, as well as Morgur the Shadowgave as well, hungry for blood, looking to dive in as soon as engagements begin. Again, potentially coming in from flanking maneuvers and rear charges. And that is the deployment of both armies. So again, they are across from each other, so it creates a bit of a rough scenario where you do have to rotate your lines as quickly as possible to make sure you don't get caught off guard. The Empire, as you saw, gave a mass move order. They're sort of shifting their location altogether to be prepared for the Beastmen to advance, and the Beastmen just kind of standing there and observing what the Empire's up to first. Are they planning on rotating, or are they shifting completely? And in fact, they are shifting completely. So let's pop it up a little bit faster. There you go. And the Beastmen now are pushing forward. As the Empire completely rotates, and you can see there are sort of long, thin lines now as they're pushing from one side of the field to the other, the Beastmen have some great opportunities to come in from the sides and get some great side charges into some of these really weak units and catch all of these guys off guard. So pushing in as fast as possible to try and do that. You'll see most of the army is slowly creeping forward, but these Gore Herd here especially getting very adventurous, very, very hungry for blood once again. These Gore Herd as well, again, pushing forward. The Empire is very disparate right now, so very risky call there, very risky move, and you'll see the General of the Empire standing there, vigilant, ready for the aggression. But of course the Empire is trying to, get into position, so they do pull back as well, trying to increase the amount of distance that these guys have to cover, but that's not enough. The Gore Herd and Bestigor Herd are all faster than these infantry units of the Empire, so they're in a tough spot. The gap is going to get shut down. So you'll see the General of the Empire pushing into some action. We also have the Reichsguard here pushing into some action, trying to protect these great swords over here, make sure that they don't get hit. And you'll see the Gore Herd are coming ever closer. The Royal Altdorf Griffites coming as well, hold these guys back, and you'll see the Reichsguard as well forcing these guys back. The great swords barely get engaged and are able to get away scot-free, perfectly safe. Meanwhile, the General of the Empire hovering around here, keeping these guys at bay as well, and the Reichsguard and the Royal Altdorf Griffites do pull back as the Gore Herd continue to give chase alongside the Bestigor Herd. You'll see these guys now able to get away relatively safely from that aggression, but again, the Bestigor Herd still giving chase. Right now, you'll see the Bestigor Herd over here just sort of creeping forward, trying to shut down the Free Company militia, I believe, but if they decided to turn around, they could have actually intercepted the great swords over here, who would have then been sandwiched by this unit of Bestigor Herd. So should have turned these guys around to try and shut down the great swords. Meanwhile, on this left flank, you'll see as the Bestigor Herd, or rather the Gore Herd, try to shut down the Spearmen, the Demigryph Knights with their halberds come running through the gaps and force these guys back once again, and the Spearmen are able to pull away relatively safely. They're a little bit shaken, they're a little bit scared for their lives, but they're able to get away relatively safely. And again, you'll see over here the Royal Altdorf Griffites being commanded to try and take care of the Bestigor Herd there that is giving chase to the great swords, and you'll see pushing in very swiftly alongside the Reichsguard, and once again able to dive in and intercept and keep the great swords there safe while the General of the Empire dives in as well. So great management there, great micromanagement there, just making sure that the cavalry comes into action and keeps these guys safe. And now you'll see the great swords here pouring into the Bestigor Herd while the Free Company militia trying to open shots off. A couple of these guys get some shots in, a little bit of early damage coming in, while the Gorbel now chasing after the General of the Empire, and over here, unfortunately, the Free Company militia does get hit by the Bestigor Herd, so they're taking a lot of damage, while in the center here, you'll see the Gorbel are hit by the Nedevamintok, allowing a couple of things. For one, the Reichsguard and the Royal Altdorf Griffites are now able to pull away because the Gorbel are anti-large, so it's a very dangerous spot for these guys to be in. Two, it means these Bestigor Herd aren't able to get a full and clean engagement in. So, as you can see, they are getting netted down, though some of them are engaging the Flagellants here. They're not all clumping in. And three, the Free Company militia are now able to open fire freely at the Gorbel without having to worry too much about their approach. While that's happening, though, you'll see this unit of Free Company militia has been taken care of right away. Unfortunately, the Bestigor Herd were able to cause a tremendous amount of damage, maybe a fifth or a quarter of their health left now. They are wavering, and they're going to start routing. But you'll see we do have a response already, while up here the Flagellants are dealing with the Gore Herd as well as the Ungor Spearmen here. These Spearmen could have been sent in, or we could have got a rear charge from these Demigryph Knights with halberds as well, just to make sure that these guys take some morale damage and maybe start falling apart a little bit sooner. But right now, back to the center here, you'll see, oh, there's a lot going on. Back to the center, the Royal Altdorf Griffites here pushing in to try and support the General of the Empire against the Bestigor Herd as the Free Company militia are routing. So those guys are pushing in, and they're going to get a decent side charge in there, do a decent amount of damage there. You can see the morale drop quite significantly, while the Free Company militia focusing down on the Gorbel, taking a lot of hurt there, that Gorbel. The Nedevamintok keeping him in place, while the Flagellants are keeping the Bestigor Herd in place, making sure they can't block the shots and protect the Gorbel. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see the Light Wizard, the Flagellants, and the Tattersouls up against the Chaos Warhounds with poison, as well as the Bestigor Herd and the Gore Herd with shields. You'll see the Light Wizard does pull back, popping Arcane Conduit as the Nedevamintok does drop there, pulling away to some safety so that he can get some casting done as well. Meanwhile, Morgur, they're still giving chase, and all the way at the back, you'll see we actually have the Ungor Spearmen Herd being a little bit too relaxed. These guys should have pushed forward a lot sooner. They need to be up front here, especially when there's so much cavalry on the field. These guys could have been pushing this way or pushing this way again, just to provide some anti-large support, either to this flank over here or some more to this flank over here where these spearmen are currently preoccupied. Meanwhile, some nice play over here as these Chaos Warhounds with poison are being sent around the front line here. And again, we don't see this often enough. They're being sent around the front there to get a nice rear charge into the Flagellants, or a side charge, I suppose. Not doing that much morale damage, but getting a lot of physical damage in there, as well as damage, of course, to their attributes, making sure they're not fighting as efficiently as they'd like to. Now, over here, meanwhile, you'll see these Flagellants not only holding back the Bestigor herd, but also the Gorbel over here, while the Free Company Militia are opening shots off. Unfortunately, though, this Gorbel is free to get a charge in, and it's pushing towards the Free Company Militia, trying to shut them down. But the Light Wizard, as you can see, kicking in a gear and making sure that the Gorbel is not able to close that gap, holding it down with the net. And you'll see the Free Company Militia still focusing on this Gorbel, and that makes perfect sense. You want to shut down that unit completely, because 2 Gorbel is worse than 1. So by focusing still on this Gorbel, even though this one is closer and potentially more threatening, by focusing down on this one, you're likely to remove 1 Gorbel from the field completely rather than have 2 half-health Gorbel, because it doesn't matter what their health is, they're still causing the same amount of damage. Meanwhile, on the left flank over here, you'll see with the General of the Empire's help, as well as the Demigryph Knights with Halberds, the Royal Ultra Gryphites, and the Reiksguard all pouring in, this entire left flank has been taken by the Empire. Even those Flagellants were able to get away with their lives, at least 23 of them. So the Chaos Warhounds with poison, despite being at full health, are being terrified off, alongside the Gore herd with shield, the Ungor Spearmen herd, and the other Gore herd with shield as well. Meanwhile, back here we do have another Shatter, the Bestigor herd that were engaging the Free Company Militia back here. They have been completely shattered. So overall, the Empire is managing to pick apart the Beastmen army. Up front here as well, you'll see the Morgor, the Shadowgave, is able to dive in and cause some damage to the Tattersouls, while close to the center here, the Gorbel is taking a lot of hurt. The General of the Empire diving in as well, trying to get in on the action, while the Reiksguard, the Demigryph Knights, and the Royal Ultra Gryphites all diving in on the Ungor Spearmen herd here, trying to shut them down once and for all. The Gorbel, that has been heavily damaged, again, beat around by the General of the Empire. A lot of hurt taken there, so now we're routing. So great call there, focusing down on that one Gorbel, and the other Gorbel now is being bogged down by the General and all of this cavalry. So great play there, and you'll see both Gorbel now not in a state to fight. One is routing the other. They're both routing now. Free Company Militia able to pick off a target, while this unit of Ungor Spearmen herd again circumventing the front line and pushing in to take care of some of that range support. And you'll see the Free Company Militia opening shots off at the Gorbel as it charges towards them, but the Gorbel gets shot up so badly that he does begin to rout. So great targeting there, and meanwhile you'll see we've got some more shatters going down. Ungor Spearmen herd giving up back there, while we have a shatter here as well. The Gorbel never returning to fight, while this one over here as well wavering now, very close to routing once more. But these Ungor Spearmen herd again able to come in from the rear, and they do dive into the Free Company Militia, shutting them down, but that other unit is still free to fire. While on this right flank, you'll see the General of the Empire has come in to beat on Morgor the Shadowgave and terrify some of these units away. Net of Mintok does go down to make sure that these units aren't able to separate, but the Flagellants and the Spearmen are able to pull back if they so choose, while over here you'll see we do have the Reiksguard risking their lives to save the Free Company Militia here, going up against these Spearmen, so very dangerous spot there. We do have the Stave of Ruinous Corruption coming into action to bring these Chaos Spawn in here, get a rear charge into some of these guys and try and frighten some of these guys away, but unfortunately that might just be too little too late, as the Empire does have the upper hand, having taken care of most of the Beastmen army, sent most of these guys packing. You'll see that Gorbel still shattered and routing there. Meanwhile, over here, this Gorbel just not able to come back into the fray, can be very easily taken care of. Meanwhile, the General of the Empire, as well as the Demigryph Knights with Halberds, having a field day against the Chaos Spawn, while the Free Company Militia as well, trying to pick some shots off. Right now, focusing on the Ungor Spearmen herd as a Light Wizard here, trying to take care of, or try to hold them in place. Meanwhile, this Gorbel, once again, charging into the Free Company Militia, trying to shut these guys down, but gets frightened away, turns around, and still eating some shots as the Reiksguard give chase, and that Gorbel is not having a good day, gets charged down and completely destroyed, absolutely murdered there. Chaos Spawn as well now not having a good time as they're being focused down on the Royal Ultra Gryphites, chasing them down, anti-large as they are, trying to take care of the Chaos Spawn before they become too effective. The Spearmen herd over here as well, giving up while fighting against the Light Wizard, so just not having a good day at all, while the Chaos Warhounds with poison dive into the Free Company Militia here, but the Reiksguard do respond right away, come in with a rear charge, and again, just have these guys wavering, routing, shattered, as the full Beastmen army does shatter for a Pyrrhic victory to the Empire. Very fast-paced battle there, and the Empire really put themselves in a precarious situation at the beginning. They could have been caught completely out of position and off guard had it not been for some great cavalry micromanagement. The Beastmen were not well enough equipped to deal with the Flagellants, and despite larger numbers, they weren't able to effectively surround enough enemy units to force routes. With that said, though, there was some great management from the Beastmen, coming around from the rear with the Poison Warhounds, coming from the sides with the Spearmen to shut down the Free Company Militia. There was some great thinking and some great activity. Unfortunately, it wasn't happening quickly enough, and as a result, the Empire and Daman walk away with the win. The Beastmen army was split apart in error, and that allowed the more mobile Empire army to pick it apart piecemeal. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. I think it is one of the best ways to learn, and I love highlighting such great plays from the community. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.